Hey, so this is just a quick little one that I'm recording a little bit late at night, since I haven't done a whole lot this week, and I figure I might as well get as much out of my my subscription to StreamYard as I can. This one was a weird one because I got kind of lost in the sauce of which this one I was just like I legit have no idea what to do with this. So I was like, you know what? Let's just discovery right. I kind of want to make Lyanna a focal point. There is a lot of elements of Lyanna Stark that do not make sense, um, especially since it was probably consensual that she left. Or it was probably consensual her leaving with Rhaegar Targaryen based on the fact that Ned does not ever think, even though he loved his sister a whole lot, he never ever thinks badly about Rhaegar Targaryen, which is really, really strange. So, in terms of this, I wanted to make at least Lyanna like try to be redeemed. Apparently, people didn't like it because, yeah, Lyanna Stark is probably kind of stupid. And yeah, there's a lot of weirdness going on with her character. But anyway, let's get started. I really just kind of thought, okay, I have a few ideas of what I would like to see, but I'm just kind of discovery writing this. And then I happened on the Stannis plot, and I'm like, all right, I can get behind this. And that helped a lot.
Theories.
What if Rhaegar hid Lyanna in Essos, not the Tower of Joy? Let's explore the depths of it in the video. If you enjoy deep dives into Harry Potter or Star Wars, check out our sister channels, The Half-Blood Theorist and Darth Theorist. Links are in the description. Lyanna strokes her swollen belly as Rhaegar rides toward the docks of Pentos. They had left from Cracklaw Point under the cover of night and were now hiding in the Targaryens' manse in Pentos. The three Kingsguard patrolled the walled manse, as well as making sure that she had the best care. Their final conversation played in her mind.
Please, don't hurt my brother. Ned's a good man.
He won't be hurt, I promise you. And when I come back, you'll be able to come home with me. Changes will be made.
She replays that conversation over and over as the days crawl forward. The baby gets closer and closer to being born. Finally, the baby comes. A little dark-haired boy with gray eyes. Lyanna is surprised, since Rhaegar had been so sure it was a silver-haired girl. He'd even drawn a picture of her. Wondering if Rhaegar had been wrong about other things, Lyanna rocks her son and sings to him. After lifting the siege of Storm's End, Ned and his men scour the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, so little bits and pieces here of a small setup within the House of the Undying, where in the House of the Undying vision in the books, Dany sees a vision of Rhaegar talking about the Song of Ice and Fire, and specifically that Aegon's would be the Song of Ice and Fire. But one of the things that he does is he seems to actually see Dany, which is really interesting and gives a whole thing of, oh, he didn't necessarily want a boy with Lyanna. He wanted a girl. And I've used that in a few other things with Rhaegar, where he was like, oh, there's a dragon, a girl with a dragon, small dragon that looks Valyrian. And so that was probably what he was thinking. He was seeing Dany, and he thought that he needed to make the third head of the dragon. So that was kind of my thought process, that Jon is illegitimate. Well, I've now kind of come to the conclusion that Jon is illegitimate, and I'm just like, yeah, that's got to remain a central part of his character. Him being legitimate wouldn't really change much of his story. And so with this, I just wanted to put in kind of that little bit of timey-wimey bendy bit. And so that's kind of the thing that I really want to kind of illustrate here.
Kingdoms for Lyanna. Every abandoned castle is turned upside down, and every lord asked if they have seen the prince. No one has any answers. Frustrated, Ned sits down against a tree in the north of Dorne. William Dustin and Talon Reed join him and put up their feet.
It's been months. We found nothing. Where else would they go? Rhaegar just vanished, then reappeared in the capital. If they were in the Westerlands, Lord Tywin would know. Lord Tyrell had no idea. But then again, he's an idiot. If Rhaegar took it to Dorne, he's more of an idiot than the Flower of Highgarden. Maybe Starfall. Arthur Dane was Rhaegar's good friend. And remember, you and Ashara Dane were good friends from the tourney at Harrenhal. Howland drives his elbow into William's side. William swears, clutching his side and glaring into the Crannogman. What the fuck did you do that for? You want a broken skull, Frog Eater? Oh, damn. Sorry, Ned, it just slipped out. It's fine, William. It's a good idea. Let's try there.
Sadly, they find nothing.
Yeah, with that one, that's actually a small Wheel of Time reference where there's a moment in the Wheel of Time where a guy mentions so basically this lord used to be in love with a queen and was a trusted advisor, and then she sent him packing due to mind control that was being put on her. And after his dismissal, he and some other guys are on a road trip trying to hunt down what he thinks are Oathbreakers. I won't go into the full details. But at one point, one of his men just mentions the queen, and then one of his fellows just don't talk about that. Don't talk about that. And I thought that having that moment with Ned Ashara would actually be a really amusing bit.
Ashara herself has gone missing after the stillborn daughter. Ned is disappointed, but now that they have no options, they decide to go to Dorne. Their reception is less than warm. The news of Luwin and Elia's death has reached them already, and needless to say, the Northmen weren't exactly in good standing. Finally, Ned eliminates Dorne as a possibility and goes back north. Then, an idea comes to him. Dragonstone. Perhaps they're on Dragonstone. When he comes back to King's Landing, he finds that Stannis has already assaulted Dragonstone after a storm and had destroyed the royal fleet. The garrison had surrendered, but not before Willem Darry had escaped with the Targaryen child. There was no mention of Lyanna. As Ned stews in the Godswood, Robert sits down next to him. Initially, Ned doesn't want to look at his friend, not after what happened with Elia's children. Robert clears his throat and offers Ned his hand.
I'm sorry, Ned. I shouldn't have said what I said. I was blustering to cover how relieved I was that I wouldn't have to worry about the children. Robert, Tywin Lannister was a monster. I know, but I need his money to rebuild the city. You should order him to repair it as repayment. Clearly, he did this deliberately. Probably could, yeah. Might need to give some concessions, though. So do you have any leads? None. Dragonstone was the last idea I had, but now I have nothing. Maybe the silver-haired bastard didn't ride with her in Westeros. Maybe she's in Essos. Damn, we could search for years and never find her. True, but we could have Varys reach out with his contacts. I don't trust the spider. If she's in Essos, I'll find her. And I'll come with you. Robert, you have a kingdom to rule. Yeah, and I need to find her. A king needs a queen after all. Jon and Stannis can rule while I'm gone. Robert announces his intention to go find Lyanna, naming Stannis as Prince Regent and Jon his hand. While Ned and Robert prepare an expedition to Essos, Willem Darry and the Targaryen children arrive in Pentos and make for the Tower Manse. When they arrive, the Kingsguard usher them inside.
Yeah, with that scene, I was just thinking, hey, let's have Ned and Robert reunite, and then that can lead to some interesting things where Robert and Ned are just going on a road trip trying to find Lyanna. That's the kind of focal point. And we also have other things going on where the lack of Robert there is going to make some things happen that otherwise would not have happened. Really, one of the things that I wanted to do here was I just wanted to have a fun little road trip with our boys. And I was able to do that. And later on, I realized, I should probably put in a little bit here that Stannis is Prince Regent and say, okay, he's not abdicating, he's just going on a trip. So that's kind of my thought. So that's where this comes in, where we also have a reuniting of all the Targaryen children, and we have Miss Lyanna doing her best to try and fix the I may not fix, but at least say, I want to do what I can to at least make the protect these kids. And that was kind of my thought with the arc that she would go on.
When it's revealed that Rhaegar died on the Trident, Lyanna cries that her son will never know his father. After Lyanna tells how she and Rhaegar had left, Viserys looks down at young Jaehaerys, then shrugs and walks off. Willem Darry offers little Daenerys to Lyanna, who takes the baby and rocks her.
All of these children are going to need a mother, my lady.
But I just barely gave birth. I don't know what I'm going to do with all these children, all on my own. I don't even know if I can handle raising my boy myself.
I understand this is a heavy burden, but they have nowhere to go and no one to support them.
Viserys is already old enough to be my little brother. I doubt he'll be able to see me as a mother.
True, but Daenerys needs someone. The King's Guard will help, but the children need a mother's love.
I don't know if I can. Maybe I should just go home.
Perhaps. But would you leave your son? After what happened to Elia's children, I will not risk any harm to any of them. That includes your boy. If he goes back to the Seven Kingdoms, he will be killed.
Lyanna looks down, feeling ashamed. It was all her fault. She shouldn't have entered the lists as the Knight of the Laughing Tree. If she hadn't, maybe her father and brother would be alive. Gently, Willem Darry puts his arm around her shoulders and lets her cry into him. Finally, she straightens and wipes her eyes.
Yeah, with that, we just want to do a little bit here of, hey, let's just try to give her a moment of humanization where she's extremely overwhelmed. She is feeling utterly alone. She doesn't feel like she can like really handle the situation. Since I think that everybody to a certain extent knows what it's like to feel feel like they're overwhelmed by a situation, like they can't handle it. And my thought is that she would feel unbelievably overwhelmed by the situation at hand, due to the fact that she is like, she just barely had a baby. She is probably really scared. There's a lot of things going on that she doesn't really feel capable of handling. And we have Willem Darry, Willem Darry is a good soul who is willing to stand beside the Targaryens and is just a great dad to the Targs, our kids. And so I just wanted to illustrate that bit of his character, because I feel like it's an integral part of him where he would be like, yeah, no, these kids are not safe, and I am not going to simply let them be killed, and I'm going to include your kid in the list.
Taking a deep breath, Lyanna resolves to protect all the children and step up for them. When Varys hears about the children going to the Targaryen Pentos residence, he immediately sends word to Illyrio. Now that he knows where they are and that they are well defended, Illyrio prepares to attack the manse and seize the children. In the darkest hour of the night, Illyrio's forces assault the manse and break in. Oswell raises the alarm and cuts down several attackers right before Arthur Dayne and Willem Darry support him. Lyanna wakes up to hear Jay and Daenerys screaming, accompanied by sounds of...
So with this, you gotta have some conflict. And my thought with the conflict at hand here is very much that Illyrio would be trying his best to get a hold of them. And if their Kingsguard are there, that means that he needs to just simply attack the manse. And from there, we have the rest of our story, where they are now on the run, and it becomes a chase between, or rather a race between Ned, Ed, and Robert trying to find them, and what is it? Illyrio and Varys.
Shouts coming from everywhere. Geralt Hightower bursts into the room and quickly helps her to her feet. Lyanna asks what's going on, but Geralt cuts her off.
No time, my lady. Someone is attacking the manse. We think they're trying to seize the children. We need to leave, now.
Lyanna scoops up Jaehaerys while Geralt grabs Dany. Arthur and Willem Darry grab Viserys. Then they all rush to the stables. As they head to the stables, a group of men swarms through the halls and attacks. Lyanna looks around in fright as she holds her son. The Kingsguard and Willem Darry surrounding her, and Viserys. Arthur and Oswell cut through them while Willem holds Dany in his arms. Finally, they cut their way through to the stables and saddle the horses. As a group, the escapees gallop away into the night. Illyrio is furious about losing them and sends out men to pursue the escapees. Soon after the attack on the manse, Ned and Robert arrive at Pentos and start searching. When they hear about the strange disturbance, both men decide to investigate. After talking with the servants who remained, they found out that Lyanna had given birth to a child and hadn't appeared to be a prisoner.
So she left on her own. She wasn't kidnapped. Robert, you should still find her. They could be in danger. Ned, I can't do this. If she left willingly, and everything I thought was wrong, fine. You head back to King's Landing. I'll go after her. Fuck it. No, I should come. I want some answers. and I'll get them from her.
With Ned and Robert sniffing around, Illyrio immediately redoubles his attempts to find his quarry. He needed those children within his grasp, otherwise his...
Yeah, so at this bit, I wanted to just have a little bit here where we have Ned and Robert just talking, where Robert is very much losing his ability to well, how to say it, losing his ability to just to lie to himself, really. That's kind of the main problem that our friend, our large Argent in charge friend, has with himself now, where he'd be like, yeah, I can't really do a whole lot, was the idea that he's kind of just going to give up, because that's one of Robert's problems, is that he will just kind of give up if he doesn't believe that he can win in some ways. And he kind of just admits defeat very quickly here, mainly because my thought was, yeah, this guy he's going to try his best, but ultimately he's like, well, what's the point? Why am I doing all this? But what's the point? And so from there, he would just be thinking about all of that and just wondering what the point would be. And Ned would be the guy who is saying, hey, let's keep going. But yeah, so with this, I was like, all right, let's just make the tension who gets to who first.
Plans would be foiled. For weeks, Lyanna and the rest of the company ride through the disputed lands and find themselves in Mir. Once there, they take a ship and sail to Volantis. They find a place to hide and plan their next move.
The problem of money is going to become an issue. We only have so much to offer, so we'll have to find employment.
So, selling our blades then?
No, that would take us into conflicts that would endanger the children. I'm not much good at anything but fighting, but I could try learning some new tricks.
Doesn't Volantis have a lot of horse races? If I can get a good horse, I can outride any of them.
That's an incredibly high risk.
Do we have any other options?
I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about you getting discovered.
Aren't there some riders that cover their whole faces? I'll just go dressed like that.
I really don't like that, but it might be our best option, at least until we have something better. I'll search for guard work. We'll also have to consider splitting up.
No, we stick together. These children are my responsibility. I'm not running from my duty anymore.
All right. We stay together. I'll search for work. I'll claim that Viserys and Dany are my children, since I'm the only one of us with purple eyes. We'll just have to dye their hair black. Now that they have a possible means of making money, Lyanna uses what money they have to buy a good horse, then enter the race. When she does, Lyanna takes a long breath, settling into the saddle, missing her own riding horse back home. When the trumpet blares, Lyanna takes off. The horse charges forward, right at ahead of the pack. One of the other jockeys tries to close in on her and strike her with his whip, but Lyanna avoids the attack, then gets in close and smashes her.
Yeah, with this, I just said, all right, let's just have the everyday stuff, a little bit of problems, and her just kind of really, this is kind of a little bit the story of a single mom trying to take care of the kids with some help from the others. And so I was just like, all right, let's just do that at here. And we just have Arthur being like, I don't know, kind of talking about the problems with this. And with this little horse, I decided to make it really detailed and just kind of go into the tension of her first horse race.
Fist into the would-be tormentor's face. The jockey stumbles in the saddle, then falls to the ground. Grunting, Lyanna leans forward in the saddle and urges her horse for more speed. In a clatter of hooves, she crosses the finish line a few feet ahead of the next horseman. The others in her party cheer, including Viserys. With their winnings, both from the winner's purse and their betting all their money, they make enough to live for a year. Lyanna starts participating more and more in the races, though often other jockeys try to hit her. The Valentine noble enjoys the additional spectacle of violence in the races, often cheering for more. Lyanna quickly becomes a favorite because she constantly wins races. Once they have enough money, they buy another set of horses, start breeding them, and rotate them during races. Oswell and Arthur purchase a set of fishing boats and start trolling the waters around Volantis. Ned and Robert search across Tyrosh, Mir, and Lys, but there's no sign of their quarry. Groaning with irritation, both men find a bar and start drinking. Ned does so conservatively, but Robert does it as if he's trying to literally drown himself.
Fucking hell. We've been searching for months. That's your trouble, Robert. Unless it's fighting or whoring, if it gets hard, you just give up. Ned, we've gone through 3 cities, and we found fucking nothing. Maybe they've gone away. Maybe it's better if we leave them to live here with nobody to fucking bother them. I'll leave and marry Tywin's daughter. We'll just tell everyone Lyanna died. You can go back, but I'm not. Not until I find my sister. Ned, what if she doesn't want to be found by us? What if she wants to be left alone? What if we just leave it be? I pushed too hard last time. Maybe I should just let it be and go home. Fine, you go.
Before Ned can continue,
Yeah, with this.
he raises his hand and quietly motions toward the side. As Robert listens, he hears a pair of Pentoshi men discussing how to find the Targaryen children for a cheesemonger. Both friends look at each other, then attempt to appear casual. After a moment, the Pentoshi duo walks out of the tavern. Ned and Robert exchange looks, then run after the men. Not wanting to let them escape, Robert and Ned jump the Pentoshi duo and drag them into a nearby alley so they can interrogate them. What they find is that they've been employed to find the Targaryen children along with the Kingsguard by Illyrio Monpentis. Ned rubs his eyes, then glances at Robert, who has a thunderous expression on his face. Without warning, Robert kills one, then the other. Ned winces, but doesn't make any comment.
There will be more going after them, Ned. We need to find them. I won't allow that fucking cheesemonger to get his hands on Lyanna.
Armed with this new information,
Yeah, so the best way of getting the Robert riled up is to get him in a competition, because one of the things about Robert is that he will protect them, protect the people he cares about, and he wouldn't want Lyanna to be taken in danger, at least. And so he would be doing that because he's feeling depressed. Ned is the guy who's pushing for stuff of to happen, and saying, "Hey, let's keep going." But this adjusts the story to let them know, "Hey, there's other players involved. We're now in a race," and allows them to kind of get into the main plot.
Ned and Robert continue traveling, keeping watch for Pentoshi men. When they do, they interrogate them until they divulge the information they need. Eventually, while in Lys, Paolin and Willem come up with a rumor of a racer in Volantis that could be Lyanna. Ned and Robert take the ship for Volantis. While Robert and Ned are off in Essos, Balon Greyjoy decides to strike at the mainland, thinking that without the king, there would be little to stop him from raiding. Victarion and Euron unleash their ships on Lannisport and sack the town, carrying off anyone they can back to the ships. Roderick Greyjoy attempts to attack Seaguard, but is pushed back by the Mallisters. When the Ironborn are defeated, Jason Mallister sends word to King's Landing. When the Raven arrives, Stannis throws the paper down and immediately...
Yeah, with this, I was very much writing this because I'm like, I legit have no idea what else to do in the Seven Kingdoms. And I was actually talking with my dad, and he was like, hey, what if there's almost a musical chairs element of the Seven Kingdoms where you have the Ironborn attack and then kind of things go nuts where you got people going every which way, here, there, and yon. And I was like, all right, I could do that. Let's do that. And I thought, okay, let's have Balon Greyjoy invade a little bit early, because he would be like, yeah, there's a 17-year-old kid on the throne. He's not going to do it. And so that's why I was like, all right, let's have some fun here, as well as just say Stannis goes like, we are going hardcore, because one of Stannis's defining traits is he's a no-nonsense person. And one of the things that he said, that is said on the behind-the-scenes, or the histories and lore of the Balon's Rebellion deal, he said Balon's Greyjoy's neck should have bent under a sword. And I think that would hold true here.
Jon Arryn, the Hand, looks at the letter and groans.
Damn, Robert, for running off like this.
Be that as it may, it's my job to clean this up.
Who knows? This could be an opportunity. An opportunity? The Westerlands are on fire, and they're likely to start raiding the Reach.
We need a common enemy. Together we can destroy the Ironborn forever.
Destroy them?
Yes, destroy them. What about that isn't clear?
Please simplify this for me. It's rather ambiguous.
Fine, I'll be clear. The Ironborn are vermin. What do we do with vermin?
You're talking about the mass slaughter of an entire people?
Yes, I am. I'm not just going to win this war. I'm going to win every war to come. Every Ironborn above the age of 14 who doesn't renounce the old ways will be put to death. Balon Greyjoy and all his blood die. Send out the Ravens. I won't ask twice. Jon feels extremely uncomfortable.
Yeah, a couple of things with this where I wanted to use the metaphor of thinking of the Ironborn as vermin, mainly because people out of universe are having the bit where he's like, yeah, what do we do with vermin? Since I was like, I didn't want him to state outright. I wanted to just kind of have it be Jon Arryn is like, oh, God, you're crazy. You're a real hardliner. You really, really, really don't mess around. And he would not be comfortable with this. But Stannis is like, nope, we kill all of them. That is not not something I'm going to be totally comfortable with. And I just like the line. I also like the Ender's Game philosophy where we have a bit where Ender just says, I'm going to win every war to come. And I think that would be applicable to Stannis as well.
Comfortable with just how willing Stannis is to exterminate the Ironborn, but he does as the Prince Regent demands. Word is sent to all the lords of the realm to prepare to assault the Iron Islands once he's dealt with the enemy fleet. Many doubt Stannis' ability to perform such a feat, but he is determined to smash the Ironborn. The only person who responds favorably to this summons is Tywin, since the Old Lion is eager to avenge his humiliation at the hands of the Greyjoys. Near Fair Isle, Stannis catches the Iron Fleet in a trap. Stannis repeatedly drives his war galley Fury forward, smashing through longship after longship. With ruthless efficiency, Stannis slaughters all of the remaining Ironborn on the ships, including Victarion and Aerion Greyjoy. Euron manages to escape on the Silence. After the victory at Fair Isle, Stannis joins with Tywin to attack the Iron Isles. The Old Lion relishes the chance to avenge his humiliation, and he finds a kindred spirit in Stannis when the Prince Regent outlines his plan.
I didn't think you had mass extermination in you.
I have to prove that I'm worthy of respect. You did the same with the Reigns of Tarbex.
Indeed. I am pleased to work with a man such as you, who has a very clear sense of what is appropriate.
If only I could do the same to the Fat Flower. Bastard tried to starve me in Storm's End. If it hadn't been for Davos Seaworth, I'd be dead.
Perhaps we should be allies, Prince Regent. You are, as of this time, unmarried, while your brother is betrothed to the Stark girl. Perhaps you could marry my daughter.
Really? Me?
I respect strength, and my daughter needs to have a good match. You are the king's chosen right hand while he's off hunting his betrothed. Together, we could be a power.
Let's deal with the Ironborn first, then we'll talk. I'm interested in discussing this matter further.
While Stannis and Tywin attack the Ironborn, other forces are moving. Mace Tyrell and Randall Tarly are plotting to take advantage of the chaos created by the Ironborn. With the Prince Regent in the Westerlands occupied with the extermination of the Ironborn, now is an opportunity to join with the other loyalists. Not wanting to miss their window of opportunity, they meet with Thorin and Oberyn. Together they can take advantage of Tywin's absence and take the Iron Throne. Once the Tyrells and the Martells agree, they start to move their troops using the Redwyne fleet and through Craighall Forest. They also send a group of men to Essos to try finding the Targaryen children. The purge of the Ironborn proceeds as planned. Great, Wick, Harlaw, Blacktide, and Old.
Yeah, with this whole bit, my thought was Stannis and Tywin actually are fairly aligned, and if Stannis wants to basically do Reigns of Castamere on them, he's going to do it, and he is going to be fine with helping Stannis just wipe them out, because Stannis and Tywin, even though their views of justice aren't similar, their ability to just go in and say, nope, I'm going to get rid of you is pretty similar. And so I was like, yeah, let's have these two guys work together and I'll almost have a connection there. With the strategy is just going to be simple battle tactics. He's going to wipe out Old Wick and stuff like that. And so what we have here is just Stannis just saying, no, we're not going to deal with this anymore.
Wick fall in rapid succession, with Stannis killing Harris Harlaw in a single combat and taking Valyrian steel blade Nightfall for himself. After the fall of Pike, Stannis personally executes Balon Greyjoy and his sons with his new sword. The only exception is Theon, who is sent to Storm's End as a hostage when Jon Arryn steps in and saves him from the executioner's block. Stannis allows this and prepares to return. When Stannis and Tywin come back before the Rock, the Redwyne fleet comes into view, bearing the three-headed dragon. Swearing, Stannis beats to retreat back to the Riverlands. Now that the Westerlands open, Mace sweeps across the kingdom and besieges Casterly Rock. Oberyn Martell and Randall Tarly also lead a large force to occupy the Stormlands and besiege Storm's End. Chaos rapidly spreads through the realm as the Reach's army smashes through the other kingdoms' depleted armies. As the Seven Kingdoms tear themselves apart, Ned and Robert arrive in Volantis, then start looking for Lyanna. As they wait in the audience of one of the horse races, a rider on a horse comes out onto the track. Ned and Robert nod to each other. Subtly, Ned motions to Helen Reed and William Dustin, doing their best to appear casual. The two men start making their way through the crowd toward the stables. Ned and Robert do the same, eyes moving across the crowds to pick out anything interesting. One thing they do notice is a pair of men with a young boy with black hair. Both had plain swords at their sides and well-made clothes, but Ned and Robert knew men seasoned by violence.
I think that's Oswell Wensingeld Hightower. That means the boy's Viserys. Yeah, they've got to be. They've grown pretty long beards and put some dye in them, but they'd shave the one we think is Lyanna one. We have to move quickly. Might be hard if she came willingly. She's likely scared for her child. Yeah, but I think we can take the White Bull. Ideally, we can solve this without killing anyone. Violence isn't always the answer. No, violence is the question, and the answer is always yes. Robert, that's a horrible mindset. We can resolve this without fighting, not least because one of them.
Yeah, so a couple of funny things with this one. I wanted to have the conflict of the Targaryen loyalists see a chance to seize power while the Lannisters and Baratheon forces are gone. And so from there, they just attack the various places. And then now we kind of get the confluence where Ned and Robert find Lyanna, and we see them figuring out, okay, they're here. What do we do now? And I wanted to use the Robert line. A lot of people have said in the Robert Reborn with Rhaegar script, Ned says, violence isn't always the answer. No, violence is the question, and the answer is yes. And I was like, I like that line. I will take that line.
Middle of the city, and if we get into a fight, the city guard will arrest us and delay us. Right, and then she'll run away, likely into the arms of another fucking cheesemonger agents. Exactly. If we can tell her that someone's after her and her children, maybe she'll be more inclined to come home. Maybe you should be the king instead of me. Sort of.
Lyanna is tending to her horse when she glances around and sees a
Yeah,
pair
I
of
just
familiar
wanted to
faces.
have that little
Dustin and
joke
Howard
there.
Reed. Immediately, she hides her face, then tries to figure out a way to get past them. Then she sees him, Ned, her big brother, and
Robert fucking Baratheon.
no, she had to run. She had to get back to the house and escape. Without a moment to lose, Lyanna leaps onto her horse's saddle and charges toward Howland and William. Swearing, the two men leap out of the way of the charging horse. She can vaguely hear Ned yelling for her to stop, to come back, and that he needs to tell her something, but Lyanna blocks it out.
Yeah, one of the things that I thought about doing initially was having a confrontation between them in the stable, but then I decided I had it very clear in my head. I ended up moving it to later where she uses it to get away. And I thought that having the conversation twice just wouldn't be good. And so I was like, let's just have her escape right now and then we have that conversation that you have in your head later.
Two Kingsguards see her run and hide themselves in the crowd, then slowly make their way back toward the house. As they do, Howland manages to spy on them and follows them at a distance. Lyanna leaps off her horse and yells for Arthur and Willem to get to Jaehaerys and Daenerys and to prepare to leave. After the knights question why, she blurts out that Ned and Robert were there. With that motivation, Arthur quickly grabs the two babies from their cribs and prepares to run. At that point, Oswell and Geralt dash in, the White Bull carrying the young prince in his arms as easily as another man would a baby. Lyanna sags in relief. Then she sees Robert and a group of Northmen rushing toward the house. Swearing, she slams the door shut and locks it, then has them slip out the back as they get to the stables. William, Dustin, and Ned appear, along with Howland Reed.
Get out of the way, Ned. Please, let me go.
Lyanna, please, you have to listen.
No, you listen. All my life, you tried to convince me that Robert was a good match, when really he's a drunken lecher who would just treat me like a sow he wants to breed with, and now he's going to kill my son.
Lyanna, there's other players at work who want to take the children.
No, they tried to grab us in Pentos. We've already accounted for them. Just let me go, Ned.
Let us help, please. Your child is my blood. I'd do anything to protect him.
Even from your best friend, your real brother. Don't lie to me, Ned. Robert was always a real brother, not Brendan or Benjen. Robert.
Ned stares at her, pain spreading across his face. Arthur and Geralt draw their swords while the old Willem Derry holds the two babies in his arm. Ned pulls out his own sword while Howland hefts his spear.
Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to do here was just have a little confrontation, and it's not a matter of either one is in the right. I'm just expressing their opinions. Sometimes people are wrong. And it just kind of seems that sometimes people don't get that, where it's like, yeah, people have perspectives that are wrong mixed with truth. And to a certain extent, she's right that Robert is Ned's real brother, not Brandon or Benjen. But there's still an element of she's still a hypocrite. And she's in a fight or flight mode. And it's ultimately just a matter of, yeah, sometimes people are dumb.
For a moment, everything is balanced on a knife's edge. Finally, Lyanna goes up to Ned and gives him a hug.
Please, just let me leave. Please. They'll never be safe if you don't let me go.
Ned breathes out, then swallows. Lyanna looks at him, then sighs and backs away. Arthur and the rest of the Kingsguard push past Ned and the others, then run towards the docks. Ned hangs his head, then swings his sword at a barrel and smashes it apart. Shaking with pent-up emotion, he stares after Lyanna and her escaping party. When Robert runs up, Ned is leaning against the wall, looking defeated.
What happened? Did we lose them? I couldn't stop them, Robert. I just lost my nerve. I can't do this.
Ned, we have them in our sights. Come on, let's go. Let's at least try to keep them safe.
Ned shakes with emotion, then he stands up and runs after the party. When they arrive, Lyanna and the other...
Yeah, I wanted to have a little bit of a shift moment where you have Robert is saying, hey, we got him in our sights. We gotta keep going. We gotta protect them. And Ned is like, I don't know if I can do this. I can't figure this out. and just poor guy would be utterly bereft and just feel like, oh, I don't know what to do, and would feel, in many respects, like where we're kind of closing the gap. We need to figure out, okay, let's just keep going here. Let's have some bits and pieces where we have some elements that are coming together. And with this, I was just like, I don't know how to end this. I'm just kind of writing it. I need to kind of write Lyanna and just close it out because I need to resolve the Essos story, the Westeros story. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't figure this out. So from there, I just decided to have this as the confrontation, and then we kind of segue into kind of trying to resolve what's happening in the Seven Kingdoms.
They're paying for passage on the ship. Immediately, Robert is transfixed by the sight of his betrothed, and Lyanna freezes as well. At the sight of Robert, the King's Guard prepare to attack, but Lyanna gets between the group. Seizing his chance, Ned stands beside his sister.
If Valerio Malpentis is trying to get the children, we need to protect them. That man killed my friend and let Tywin Lannister get away with murdering Elia and her children. Because you weren't there, sir.
Arthur looks away, shame in his eyes. Robert looks away, then walks off, clearly not wanting to deal with this. Ned feels for his friend, but he has to help keep his sister safe. After a moment, he walks after his friend and puts his hand on Robert's shoulder. Robert puts his hand on Ned's, looking like he was completely destroyed. When Ned asks him to come find a place to hide them, the big man shakes his head. Slowly, he rests his hammer on his shoulder.
I can't look at him, but there's something I can do at least. Robert, what are you going to do? I'm going to kill that cheesemonger and anyone else who wants to hurt her. Or her son.
Looking like a man ready to strike through a wall, Robert walks off toward another ship. Ned glances toward Lyanna, then walks to her party. Howland and Willem stay with Robert and go with him to find and kill the cheesemonger, while Ned goes with Lyanna. Stannis looks over the map of Westeros, wishing he had the painted table in front of him. Tywin and Jon Arryn were discussing the state of affairs and what the best course would be. The Hand had already sent word to the Vale to bring troops to them, as well as to Benjen Stark and Winterfell.
We must push into the Westerlands and defeat the fat flower in the field.
Yeah, with this, I wanted that confrontation is ultimately just a bit between Robert just kind of accepts, yeah, I can't look at her. I can't do this. But I'm still gonna keep her and her kids safe. Because deep down, Robert wants to be good. He wants to be honorable and noble, or even just to appear honorable and noble. He often fails, but he tries. And with this one, and then just a little confrontation of words between Ned and Lyanna, where they're the two people in the middle. They're trying to be the arguers for peace due to all of the stuff that has gone on. And because of this, we have the segueing out where we can kind of adjust and move it back into Stannis, because really he's the most interesting part of this. I was just like, I don't know where else to go with this. They can't go forever, and I was just running out of stuff.
We must secure the capital first. The enemy is likely to try to seize the Iron Throne, and with it, a great deal of legitimacy. Those are my lands they're sacking, Lord Arryn. I need to return. If you two have finished bickering like a pair of fishwives at markets, I have a plan, and it doesn't involve going to the Westerlands. Well then, the fat flower has decided to play in the Westerlands, so I say we do the same with the Reach. Unlike Casterly Rock, Highgarden can be taken without much effort, and while we have that, we force them away from the Westerlands back home. We also use this opportunity to start raiding the Reach and plug the passages to Dawn. And while the Riverlords and the Knights of the Vale deal with the Dornish and the Reachmen attacking the Stormlands, Benjen Stark can move his army into the Riverlands to ensure that the enemy doesn't try raiding the area. How exactly are we going to get past the Red Wine Fleet, or whatever army is guarding our path? While I was in King's Landing, I had a lengthy talk with your son, Lord Tywin. He informed me that your old friend, the Mad King, had several caches of wildfire stored there. I'm going to use it to destroy the Red Wine Fleet, rush past them while they're occupied, then take whatever's left and blow open the gates of Highgarden.
Tywin and Jon Arryn look at each other.
Yeah, with this part, what we're seeing here is just a strategy meeting. We're kind of pulling in the musical chairs with the Seven Kingdoms aspect, where we're just kind of shifting around stuff. The original idea that my dad had was that they're there for a long time, and they kind of even put down roots. And I was like, that is a really neat idea, but I don't know if that would work with the time frame I have, due to the fact that we have to have Robert coming back with the news that Lyanna is not coming back. And so from there we have the strategy where we know now what Stannis is going to do. And one of the things I need to start doing more often in these various theories is doing they try a plan and then they fail. I need to do that more often, honestly, but really the problem is, I think that one of the problems with what ifs in general is that people are fairly competent, and I need to have more people are incompetent deals, but then people will just complain.
Nods in approval. Then take wood of wildfires and blow open the gates of Highgarden. Tywin and Jon Arryn look at each other. Then the old line slowly nods in approval. After a party is sent back to King's Landing and collect as much wildfire as they can. Once it's been collected and placed onto several sabotage ships, they are launched toward the Redwyne fleet. Paxter Redwyne sees the ships and attacks, only to find that the ships are empty. Then the fire arrows arc over the ships and land in the trails of wildfire behind them. Within seconds, the Redwyne fleet is consumed in fire. Together, the remains of the Lannister fleet and the royal fleet sail through the gap, throwing wildfire into the other ships and adding them to the conflagration. After a few days, they land in the Reach and start rampaging across it. While the Westerlands and River Lords attack the Tyrell's domains, Jon Arryn and the Knights of the Vale attack the Dornish under the walls of Fawntown. When Oberyn turns from his siege of Storm's End to face the Lannisters, faced with the Knights of the Vale, the Dornish light spears and cavalry are broken. Old Town and Highgarden are sacked by the Lannisters, the remaining wildfire being used to break open the gates of House Tyrell's seat. Stannis immediately takes Mace's children and Lyanna as hostages, sending a challenge to the Lord of Highgarden once the city is secured. When Mace finds out about Stannis ravaging his lands, he immediately splits his army and sends them back to defend his home. As Lord Tyrell sends a splinter force to take on Stannis, the Blackfish and several Westerland houses come at his rear and start harrying him with guerrilla tactics. All across the Reach and Stormlands, the war rages. Stannis takes a great deal of satisfaction in living off of Mace Tyrell's land. Tywin is equally eager to strip the Reach of its resources. When Mace's splinter force tries to get through the Crakehall forest, they're met with guerrilla forces. When they try to assault Deep Den and Golden Tooth, they're unable to take the fortress, so they're locked in the Westerlands with the Blackfish and his troops. The Dornish and Tarly forces are also forced to stay in the Stormlands, while Stannis sends forces into the Westerlands to keep harrying the enemy. Soon, though, he has his men pull back and garrison the Golden Tooth, Deep Den, and Casterly Rock, while pulling everything out to ensure Mace has nothing to live on.
This is impressive strategic work, Lord Stannis. You managed to pull off the impossible.
It's not the first time. Everyone said I couldn't hold against the might of the Reach. I held.
Indeed, I'm glad that...
Yeah, this is what I wanted to do. I just wanted to have a little bit of... This is an excellent strategic achievement for Stannis, where he is able to play the whole board and makes it so that he can functionally just say, hey, the Mace Tyrell may be in the Westerlands, but the problem is the Westerlands is a geographically torturous area to take, and if you try to go through it, it's going to really, really mess you up, especially because there are two very specific choke points. And so from there, and now we're just kind of having Stannis and Rhaegar, where Stannis gives a little bit of insight, gets a little bit of insight from Tywin about, you know what, maybe you should have a little bit more pride in yourself and have a little bit more understanding of things.
My assessment of you was justified. Perhaps you should take up the Iron Throne in the event of your brother's lack of return.
My brother will come back, and until I know he is dead, the throne is his.
Of course, but I would much rather be aligned with a man such as yourself, a man of duty and iron resolve, rather than Robert, who was a man of great appetites. Such men are easily led astray.
You mean any direction away from your counsel?
Of course. I served the Mad King with diligence and efficiency, even when he muffed me. I imagine you have had a similar experience, have you not?
Robert has never given me my due. I should have been made Lord of Storm's End, not Dragonstone. He's always mocked me, like when I founded a wounded Goshawk and nursed it back to health. But when it wouldn't go above the trees, I had to let it go.
You trained the Goshawk to hunt when you were a boy?
Yes, I did. What of it?
Lord Stannis, training a Goshawk is no mean feat. Experienced falconeers find training that breed very difficult, and you train the bird in your youth. They do not fly high deliberately. Is part of their hunting patterns. It seems as though you do not fully understand your own competence. Perhaps you should rethink your past and realize that you might be discarding valuable tools because you misunderstand their function.
Stannis frowns and begins to reconsider the whole event. He'd been so angry at being mocked that he put Proudwing aside, letting a childish slight blind him to the fact that she'd been effective at hunting. She'd just not been as flashy as Robert's. Wanting to be alone, Stannis motions for Tywin to leave. While the war rages on in Westeros, the escapee...
Yeah, with this I actually recently found a little bit where the Goshawk deal is elaborated on in quite a bit of detail, and explain like, oh, that is actually really interesting, where Goshawks actually, it's part of their hunting pattern, as kind of just laying out everything to Tywin described, and also explaining, yeah, just because it didn't do what you thought it wanted to do, what doesn't mean it wasn't effective. And one of the things that time will be big on is just the idea that, hey, everybody has as their function, everything has their use. Don't just discard it because you don't understand its function. And I think that's something that Tywin would champion, is just understanding something's function, and that conversation would allow Stannis to just reconsider and say, "Oh, I have to rethink that. That's interesting."
Sail for the Summer Isles. Hopefully, the children would be safe there. As they do, Ned pulls Arthur aside.
Do you know where Shara might have gone? I'm sorry, but I don't know where she could have gone. Shame. I know. She liked you too. Damn, I missed my chance. We all do, Lord Stark. I missed my chance at love when I was named to the Kingsguard, but at least you have a son to hold in your arms. Still, I hope she's safe. She can take care of herself, Lord Stark. Don't worry.
Sighing, Ned leans on the bow of the ship and looks out of the horizon.
Yeah, this one didn't have anything to do with the plot, but I was like, yeah, there's an element of just these two people just talking, shooting the breeze, and letting us be able to get to know them and understand them. And I just felt like that would be a good little conversation to kind of follow up with that a little bit. It never gets resolved, and I thought about it, and I was like, no, I'm not going to go any further with this.
Wondering about the possibilities of what could have been, Arthur casually pats him on the shoulder and follows his lead, purple eyes unfocused. After employing a group of sellswords, Robert and his two northern companies slip into Pentos and attack Illyrio's men under the cover of night. When they do, they find Illyrio and a woman with bright silver hair looking at a small baby. The cheesemonger immediately gets between the woman and Robert, who hefts his hammer and points it at the wail of a man.
Drag him outside. She doesn't need to see this.
William and Hallen oblige him and drag the large man out into the courtyard. Robert stands over his enemy and rests his hands on his hammer.
You tried to kill her, Robert Baratheon. Surely you don't. You tried to kill her, you fucking bastard. Now it's over.
With a single swing, Robert brings his hammer down on Illyrio's skull, spraying blood all over the floor. Casually, Robert flicks the blood free and returns to the room. Clearly frightened, the woman introduces herself as Sarah Blackfire and the boy as her son. They'd been planning on passing him off as Rhaegar's dead son, but now she just wanted him to live. Robert looks down at the baby boy, wondering what Ned would do. Sighing, he offers to bring Sarah back to the Seven Kingdoms.
Yeah, with this bit, I was like, I thought about having them, him just kind of letting them go, but then I realized, I don't think he would. I think that he would try to do what Ned would do, which is take them in. And a lot of people have been suggesting, what if Robert married Sarah Blackfire as a screw you to the Targaryens? And people were so pissed when it happened in this as kind of the capper, and didn't really continue. And I was like, okay, do you really want it? Okay, let's build up the hype for it. I like that. And should be coming. I'm really excited to have that come out. I think early next month, I believe it is. I'm excited for you to see it. It's very, very good. I'm very, very excited about it. We'll see. I'm writing part 2 of that particular script right now, alongside some other stuff. But let's keep going.
Not as a prisoner, but as a guest. Sarah grabs her son and all the money she can carry and accepts the offer. One thing Robert finds is a contract for the Golden Company. Tilting his head, he looks it over, then decides that it might be useful to have such a force under his control. When he and the others go through the streets, they are met with rumors of war in the Seven Kingdoms. The Prince Regent was dead, and Mace Tyrell had crowned himself king. No, it was Tywin Lannister who had been crowned. Or maybe it was Viserys. No, that couldn't be true. Prince Rhaegar had come back from the dead and had destroyed the Red Wine fleet atop the Balerion. The Black Dread had come again. Regardless of some of the more outlandish tales,
So one of the things that I wanted to do here is, in the Wheel of Time series, there's actually a neat little thing where you have rumors, and as well as in this series as well, that there's a big old game of telephone where your flow of information is very suspect, and you have a lot of weirdness going on, to the point where it's like, what the heck is going on here? And so I wanted to put that out there into where we kind of have a bunch of rumors, and that tells Robert, hey, something weird's going on. Some bad stuff's happening in the Seven Kingdoms.
Robert sees a consistent pattern. The realm was at war.
At last, a problem I can solve like I always do.
When the group arrives at the Summer Isles, they are greeted with immense courtesy by the ruling princess. When Ned offers to smuggle them all to Winterfell, Lyanna gently refuses.
Dearest Ned, here they will be safe from all harm. Let them live here, grow up far away from the Seven Kingdoms. Perhaps we'll go back to Essos when it's time. Robert will have gotten rid of the cheesemonger, so they won't be in danger.
Will I ever see you again?
Maybe one day I'll come visit. Jay should meet his uncle when he's old enough. Live your life, Ned. Let me live mine.
Ned gives his little sister a hug, which she returns. Feeling both sad and happy, Ned boards a ship and sails back toward the north. As soon as he does, he sees a large group of ships bearing the banners of the Crowned Stag. When the ship corners his transport, Ned quickly reveals his identity and his mission to Davos Seaworth.
Ah, Lord Stark. Been wondering where you and the king had gotten to. Do you know where he is? He was headed to Pentos for a brief conversation with the cheesemonger. You rich folks and your luxuries. I imagine the conversation will be handled by Robert's Warhammer. Oh, I take your meaning. Well, it's a good thing we found you. Prince Stannis.
Perfect comedic timing for the voice actor. I love that. That's honestly really, really funny. And where he's like, oh, you people and your riches. I think he'll solve that conversation with his Warhammer. Oh, so he's going to kill him. I see. And I just honestly really like the idea of Ned and Davos as kind of the two moral centers of the story. And Davos is even more moral than Ned in some ways, where Davos is just uncompromising his morality and isn't shy about speaking truth to power. And now we kind of bring Ned into the story.
Are helping the Reach. There's a war going on. I was sent to patrol the area and keep a blockade going on Dorne.
Ned's eyes widen as Davos explains what's been going on. Once he knows the situation, he agrees to join Stannis against the Dornish and the Tyrells. When Robert comes across the Golden Company, they initially think he's there to join them until he reveals the contract. Once he shows that, they're willing to accept his offer to come home and have lands in the Reach and Westerlands that had been occupied by loyalist lords. Also, when Sarah is brought out and explains that this is a chance for them to go home, they are eager to fight. One thing they do put forward is that Sarah wed Robert to cement the alliance. Since Lyanna wants no part of him and he needs the help, Robert accepts. Within a couple of weeks, they arrive at King's Landing and are given full accounting by Kevin Lannister, who had been left in charge of the city. After finding out that Mace is marching toward them, Robert prepares the city for the assault. Ned arrives at Highgarden within a few days and quickly joins Stannis. Though he's loath to be fighting alongside Tywin Lannister, Ned swallows his disgust for the man and promises his full support to the Prince Regent. He hasn't arrived a moment too soon. In one desperate push, Mace breaks through the Golden Tooth and makes a run at the capital. When Stannis hears about this, he and Ned ride out to meet the Lord of Highgarden on the field. When they do, they find that someone else has garrisoned the city and is holding off the Tyrell host, the Golden Company. Startled at this sudden development, Ned and Stannis attack Mace in the rear, smashing him against the walls of the city. As they do, a host of Northmen comes out of the Riverlands and catches the enemy on the other flank. After several hours, the battle is over, and Mace is stripped of his titles for rebelling against the crown. When Robert comes out, Stannis bows to his brother, but the king grabs his brother and pulls him into a bear hug.
I heard you got the fat flower back for starving you out. And is that a Valyrian steel blade you got there?
Stannis stares at his brother, not sure what to think of him praising him. Robert claps him around the shoulder and gestures toward Ned, who follows him into the city. When there, he introduces Sarah and Aegon to them, then declares that he's going to have her stay there as his queen. Everyone stares at Robert, who waves them off and says that it will be a way to make sure any dragon supporters can see that there is one going to sit on the Iron Throne. Besides, she'd brought the Golden Company. Jon Arryn and Ned both groan and rub their eyes, but there's nothing they can do. Tywin is irritated at his plans being thwarted, but he still arranges the marriage between Stannis and Cersei, though the lady is not pleased to be marrying a stern, balding man rather than a silver prince. Still, Stannis treats her well, and she slowly grows to at least tolerate the marriage. Ned returns to Winterfell alongside Benjen, and when he gets through the gates, he runs to greet Catelyn, who is overjoyed that her husband is back from the war, and that her son will not grow up without a father. From her seat near their small cottage, Lyanna watches Jon and Dany run through the grass, while Viserys watches them with a mildly amused expression on his solemn face. Arthur and the others watch the royal children.
Yeah, so that it's basically just, let's wrap it up. I legit have no ideas of where we can take this. I'm very tired of this story. I can't figure out where to take it, and I just want to get this over with. And I did make a mistake of naming Jon rather than Jaehaerys. That was my mistake. Whoops. And with Ned, I was like, and with that, I was just like, okay, he marries her to get the Golden Company. I could have expanded it, but I was just like, yeah, let's just make this nice and easy for Boba and not worry about it. And then from there, we just have this little epilogue where they're gone with their family and they're just figuring out life
As well, never at ease despite the relaxed nature of the Summer Isles. Lyanna was content to sit there and enjoy the peaceful atmosphere. She would have to go home eventually, but not for a while.
And that concludes things. It's ultimately one of those things where you don't really have. I was like, where do I go from here? I really don't know. But yeah, and ultimately, this is kind of what happens when I'm like, I really don't know where to go. Anyway, let's call it good for today. See you later. Bye.